Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Daybreak on Trust Television, and of course, it's now time for the discussion segment of the program, where we'll be talking about preparations ahead of the Ondo governorship election, which holds, of course, Saturday, 16th November 2024. Now, citizens and residents of Ondo State in Nigeria are prepared for the upcoming governorship election that will be holding on Saturday. Incumbent APC Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa is running for elections to a full term. Former Deputy Governor Awanyai of the PDP and 15 other party candidates are running against him. This is coming 11 months after the death of the former governor, Rotimi Akeredolu. Residents will head to the poll on Saturday to get their new governors elected. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission revealed that 2,053,061 are the number of registered voters, with male voters taking up 1,034,006, which makes 50.6% of the total voter register, while female voters are 1,034,964, making up 47.89% of the total registered voters. Now, we'll be having with us via telephone Jonathan Awanyai, Trust TV reporter, who is currently in Ondo State observing the activities, of course, as they prepare to march to the poll. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome to Daybreak. Tell us about how the events are shaping up in Ondo State ahead of the election tomorrow.
Okay, good morning. Thanks for having me. The mood in Ondo State ahead of the governorship election is a tense one. The various political parties and the supporters are joining up for the big day. The people are eager to choose their next leader. Apart from the violence which happened a day or two at the local government area, everyone is prepared for the election. From the police, we understand that they are deploying 22,000 personnel for the election. And the civil defense and other security agencies have also expressed their readiness for the polls.
All right, Jonathan, I mean, the state is one that, some would describe as not fully out of mourning, despite the fact that, of course, it now has a new governor who has replaced its former governor who unfortunately died in office. However, how is the feel and the mood among these voters who will be going to the poll tomorrow? Is there some form of disenchantment, or perhaps everybody has his mind set on, who it is that they're going for? Tell us just generally about the mood of these voters.
Okay, I think the people at the moment have overcome the grief of losing their governor at the time it happened. They are more concerned about electing the next leader. And obviously, the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressive Congress, and the Labour Party, all other parties are more into showcasing their candidates, and voters are also more into getting the right leader who will lead them in the next 4 years.
All right.
So for the demise of the former governor, I'm not sure that is affecting their mood.
All right. Finally, I mean, we've seen severally, as is the case with governorship elections or generally elections in Nigeria, the breakdown of violence, the breakdown of law and order, looting of properties, sometimes unfortunately recording fatalities in the process. What's the general feel been like? Have there been activities of, what some would describe as thugs, or is the security formation, giving some form of confidence that probably this would be tackled?
Okay, I understand that the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the elections, have stressed the readiness of the Nigeria Police. PIG Sylvester also stressed that there's going to be a fair election. But the major concerns of the people is that the election should be peaceful and transparent, and allowing them to exercise their democratic right to choose their leader.
All right then, Jonathan, thank you so much. Continue to observe the situation there. Of course, tomorrow is election day, and we know that that's where the bulk of the work will be coming from. But please stay safe, as we'll definitely touch base with you to get more details as it develops.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, then. We now have joining us via Zoom from Akure, Aluko Ahmad. He is the Information Disorder Analyst at the Center for Democracy Development. Mr. Aluko, welcome to Daybreak. So, Information Disorder Analyst. I mean, the first question that comes to my mind is issues around misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. How has these issues shaped the conversation moving into the election?
Good morning. We were here for the pre-election assessment, and then we were identifying the issues around the information ecosystem. So we got to realize that our focus, ordinarily, if it were to be a general election or every other election we've recorded in the past, would be to look at issues, look at their manifestos, ideas, plans, and policies of these people who want to man these positions. But it's interesting to know that top of the agenda and top of what has been on our radar have been more personality attacks. For instance, certificate scandal against the PDP governorship candidate has been on the rise. The domestic violence issue allegedly on the APC candidates, and then identity crisis targeting the electoral umpire. So I'll give you an example. There are claims going around that the PDP candidate has certificate issues, and this has become a top issue of information manipulation. When we came into the state, it was going viral, going around, and we had to do all we know just to keep the people updated. Also, on the domestic violence issue, you would agree with me that there's this trending video that allegedly that the APC candidate, who is the incumbent governor, was having issue with his mistress in faraway London, and then there's this WhatsApp message that was going viral that the governor and his wife had issues allegedly. That these are some of the issues that have dominated the information ecosystem as against issue-based campaigns. So that makes it very worrisome that at this time in our electoral process, misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation are still on the rise.
All right, Aluko, now talk about misinformation and all of these issues. Do we blame one party, or are all politicians guilty of this in this election?
Okay, thank you. Having met with the people in the states and then having done our own assessment, we realized that almost all the parties have these mercenaries in place. We call them bad actors. It's a situation whereby these people get, we found out that there are online blogs, there are even social media influencers, and then there are ordinary people who are decision makers who have been commissioned to fuel these narratives. So it's a case of firstly, we will blame the political actors in this regard. Secondly, we will blame the gap in the information dissemination from the electoral umpire, the political parties, and even some government institutions like for the gap, because it is the absence of information that leads to the fueling of information disorder. So for example, let's say the people are not even aware, or let's say yesterday INEC made a kind of a briefing, and then there hasn't been any kind of sort of briefing from the police. So these are some of the things that build information disorder. When the people are not fully furnished with information and cook up any form of stories, and then we realize that in the states, most of the dis and malinformation, they trend offline. So now the issue is, if we are able to man up and go head to head with the bad actors online, how are we able to do these ones in the offline? That's where it now comes down to the traditional. How much voter education, sensitization, and awareness are the traditional media doing? How are they engaging the people? How informed are the people ahead of the election, before, during, and after the election? So it goes across board. It goes to the political party, it goes to the electoral umpire, it goes to the media as well, and even the people who are fueling this information disorder.
All right, Aluko, I want you to talk to me about issues that characterize, for example, the Edo State governorship election a few weeks ago that you're seeing right now. Are there any of these issues? And then also, were there issues during that election that perhaps in one way or the other has improved, going into this election?
Yes, absolutely. So, for example, in the Edo governorship election that ended that held some months ago, we had increase in gender disinformation. But fortunately, in Ondo State, we haven't recorded any of gender disinformation. An ABC chieftain called the wife of one of the candidates a Baron or something of sort. That was one. Then we recorded some other gender disinformation. But in this state, as of now, we haven't recorded any form of gender disinformation. Also, we got attacks. There were also attacks on marginalized groups. For instance, one of the candidates was allegedly a person with disability in Edo State, and that formed one of the attacks and one of the ways of fueling hate speech in Edo State. But so far in Ondo State, we haven't recorded any of such attacks on the marginalized group. So now, going to what are the similarities in both states, personality attacks. We've seen the campaigns, they are full of attacks on the individuals who are supposed to, who will be manning these positions or who will be elected into these offices. Personality attacks, we recorded them in Edo State, and we are recording it in Ondo State as well. Also, we are seeing another difference is campaign activity. In Edo State, as of 24 hours to the election, the entire atmosphere was already tense. We're already seeing high levels of engagement and campaigns. But in Ondo State, everything seems a bit quiet. And my last interview, the anchor asked me that, does this silence mean peace, or it means that something is coming around? I told her I can't preempt. But for an election of this magnitude, we suppose that there should be more and higher level of political campaigns, most especially differences, and then there are similarities.
All right, Aluko, has over the course of Nigeria's election, do you think that these issues of information disorder, misinformation breakdown, and all of these issues around fake news and hate speech has improved or is going towards a very, very devastating trend?
Okay, I think left to our hands, we are seeing improvement in people's handling of this information disorder. I'll give you an instance. In the 2023 general election, a night before the election, it started going around that, the candidate of the PDP, deputy and party stalwarts, the audio started trending that they had perfected plans to bribe the electoral umpire and all. And then it started going viral. Everybody was taking it hook, line, and sinker. But what we realized is that at the moment now, considering Edo and Ondo states, those kind of audios are now properly checked by the people. When we came into the states, one of the questions we asked the people is, how are you taking these informations? Unlike before, they said, once they see anything on WhatsApp forwarded as received, shared as received, forward to 10, 20, 30 people, they start sharing without knowing where it originated from, or the implication and the aftermath. But now we see a kind of level of awareness on our people. People are no longer taking such information serious. They are now doing their own basic checks too. So like I mentioned, the summary is that our people are now aware of some of the tactics used by these information manipulation actors. But as much as we are trying to get ahead of them, they are devising new ways. Let me come to the context of AI and manipulated videos and images. In the 2023 general election, we would say that AI and manipulated images were just gaining entrance into our political ecosystem. But as of today, they have now established AI content and generated images. So you see images, videos, and then even you who is working in this sector, you're like, and then you have to subject them to forensic analysis to be sure that they are fake. So while we have made improvements in people going to social media and just being and forwarding images, there is a new wave coming on now, which is the AI and manipulated images and media form, which we need to stay ahead of them and have to get our people to understand that, okay, not everything you see is real. Some are manipulated and AI is fooling them. Thank you.
All right. Now, Aluko, finally, so there's been issues of, like you said, the development and then the entrance of AI comfortably now into the space. is the CDD proposing, or are there means that the CDD feels that, some of these actors who participate in these activities, especially political actors who are investigated and found guilty of, carrying out this misinformation, malinformation breakdown, be sanctioned?
Okay, now let me. Some of these things, like in our last, we had the last West African conference, and one of the topical issues was AI in our electoral system. So the bulk of the work is not actually to get them sanctioned. That's beyond our purview. The bulk of our own work is to increase awareness in this regard. That's firstly in the state last month, to train journalists and to equip them, CSO persons as well, to equip them with some of the fact-checking tools and ways which they can detect and see that, okay, these are AI generated, where they can report to us, the check by Midan to proudly supported by the NDI. So some of these tools would help us. We identify that they require some level of expertise. We have created a seamless gateway where the people can report some of these things to us, and in no time we'll get them done. And also we are looking at a framework, an accountability framework, a kind of an index that will hold these tech giants connected to these tech giants. They are the ones that are leading them. Work is to get them and hold them accountable with maybe collaborations with the government and industry players. So on the level of CDD, we are looking to some of these reforms and getting some of these frameworks ready. And at the instance of ECOWAS, so that it will be jointly owned and it will carry more weight. So it's not much of a sanction, but more of an accountability framework and index that will get them readily available and readily submissible to us. So it's really not sanction per se, it is accountability framework. And also to train the people, journalists, CSOs, and like-minded people on how to stay ahead of some of these AI-generated images.
Right.
And yes, that's all regarding.
All right then, Aluko Ahmad, if I got the name correctly, Aluko Ahmad, Information Disorder Analyst at the Center for Democracy Development. Thank you so much for joining Daybreak this morning to provide some sort of context to the issues that are shaping up the election as we prepare for the Ondo governorship election come Saturday. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great speaking with you.
Indeed, it was great speaking with you too, Aluko. But then we go on another break, and when we return, of course, it will be time for us to take a look at stories that made it to the front pages of select national dailies. Join us again.